Welcome to Get on the Ark. My name is Darren Conrad, your host. For those of you who don't know who we are, this show is about how God is doing extraordinary and miraculous things in ordinary people's lives. There's a storm coming, a spiritual storm with dark days ahead for all of humanity. And just as God warned Noah to build an ark to save his family from the coming flood, all across the globe, God is calling his people out of darkness and out of complacency and into a relationship with Jesus to save us from the storm that is coming to our generation. So welcome to Get on the Ark. Well, I'm super excited to have Christopher Key here today. Christopher, you and I, we've met several, I've ran into you at several different events. I saw you down at Todd Callender's event. I've seen you at the Reawaken, Stay Awake, and different events, and never got the pleasure to sit down and really chat with you. So I'm excited to have you on the show. Welcome, brother.
Welcome, brother. Grand Rising. He is risen, yes, indeed. And the PSA of the day, please, anybody that's listening to this, stop saying good morning. It's a very low vibration that they have programmed satanically, subconsciously into your brain with good morning, good morning, good morning today, good morning shows. And you don't want to be mourning unless somebody's died. It's grand rising. You have risen. He has risen indeed. So that's my PSA today. I love the opening of the Ark, brother. That is so beautiful. And it's such a pleasure to come on here on the show with you today. I greatly appreciate you bringing me on.
Yes, sir. Well, so tell us a little bit about your journey. You got an exciting life. I've watched you and followed you across the country. I know you were just in DC, you're in California, you're in Vegas, you're out. And so tell us a little bit about your journey with Jesus, and when did you start following him, and then what brought you to doing what you do?
Well, let me start with my name, okay? It's so important. Christ is in me. He's in my name, Christopher. That's my God-given name, Christopher. And the satanic Luciferians can't stand that. My last name, never forget it, is Key, okay? Key. God's given us the keys to open up the doors that Satan never wanted open, okay? But together, we have to do this. We got to quit being divided because you might be Jewish. I'm Catholic. You're black. I'm white. We all bleed red. And they're coming for your children and your grandchildren. And if we don't speak up and speak out right now, the world as we know it is no more. But we win in the end. It's already been written, okay? But you Christians out there have to quit sitting around and doing nothing. God never said sit around and do nothing because you've been saved. And this is one of the things that drives me crazy with my Christian brothers and sisters. We've got to go out and speak his word and spread his word. My journey, it's very interesting, Darren. It started when I was 11 years of age, and Yahweh spoke to me and said, you would do more than Jesus did. And I grew up Catholic, and I'd never read the Bible. And I went to my mom and dad, and they're like, what? And I said, yeah, Yahweh talked to me and said I would do more than Jesus. And they're like, you're hearing things. They wanted to get counseling. They talked to the priest. I mean, it was bad. And, I thought, devils were in my mind because that's they're like, devils talking to you, this, that, and the other. And I'd never read the Bible. Okay. So I'm 16 years old, and I go to a Baptist church. And in that Baptist church, we it's this revival they're having, and they take you through this skit. And me and a bunch of my football players all went to this. I was a quarterback on the football team, and everybody went because one of the guys belonged to the Baptist church. And we're in there, and they're talking about, have you been saved? If not, you're going to hell. And, growing up Catholic, I'd never been taught any of that thing. And so me and my best friend, he was my running back, both of us said, look, we want to ask Jesus to come to our heart. We want to be saved. And I did that night at 16 years old. And I went back the next day on Sunday to my catechism class, and I was telling everybody about it. And next thing I know, the teacher's taking me down to the priest, and he's having a whole sermon on, what are you doing? You've already been saved. You were baptized under the Holy Spirit. And, it was a bad thing for me to ask Jesus to come into my life. And I was like, I was so confused. And, being a little boy in Birmingham, Alabama, I was blessed in the fact that I grew up Catholic, in that I was like the only Catholic kid in my school, but maybe 5 or 6 other ones. So I knew what it meant to kind of be, shunned upon and whatnot, because I loved everybody. I loved the Muslims, the Jewish, the Catholic, the blacks, the Mexicans. I mean, because they're all God's children. I never could comprehend why in the Catholic religion that all my other brothers and sisters were going to hell. And that never resonated with me. And it really bothered me. It really bothered me. So long story short on that, I went to the University of Alabama. I got my degree in exercise physiology, kinesiology, and I love this human body. I was a ball player. I played football, baseball, basketball, wrestled, played tennis. I led it in 5 sports. I was captain of all 5 teams. I was a leader. And I want to go back to this because this is one of the things that really changed me even more. I was an Eagle Scout, and I never forget going to one of our Eagle Scout meetings, and my father, who was my mentor, he was my everything. He was my rock. And we're going to an Eagle Scout meeting, and my dad looked at me and he says, "You're different." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're not like me." I mean, Dad, that's all I want to do is be you. I want to be the better version of you. He said, "No." He says, "I'm a follower." He said, "You're a leader." And Darren, I didn't know what a leader was, but because I didn't want to disappoint him, I became a leader that day. And I became a very good leader. And I went on to lead and became very successful in businesses. I opened up a company called Life Health Measurement Systems, where I took a device to market called the Bod Pod. It was a $35,000 unit that my professors at Alabama all said you'd never sell. But God, through me, sold it to the Buffalo Bills, the Indianapolis Colts, the Air Force Academy, the Naval Academy. Now every major university in the country utilizes this piece of equipment. This was my first child. Okay, this is my first child. And I got a lot of respect in health and wellness. And because I owned health clubs and everybody said I was innovative, but I wasn't innovative, Darren. I just knew everything started out west. So I'd get on a freaking plane and I'd fly out west, because in Alabama, we're backwards and we get everything about 5 to 10 years later. So I'd fly out to California and attend all the major shows and find out what was new and innovative. I'd bring it back to Birmingham and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, Pilates, yoga, Tai Chi, all this new equipment that I had," because I wanted the best of the best, because I knew this temple, you could preach God's word if you didn't take care of this temple. And at that particular time and moment in time, I didn't know what was happening with the temple. I just wanted to work with these athletes. I had a health club called Steel City Fitness. And a lot of you, if you don't know, the largest rehab center in the world used to be called Health South. And Richard Scrushy owned it. And Jimmy Andrews was his head medical doctor. And if anybody got it, any major football player from Brett Favre to Cam Newton to Mark Ingram, you name it, if they had a surgery to be done, they would fly into Birmingham, Alabama at Health South, and they would get operated. And then Kevin Wilk would do the rehab. And if they stayed in town any longer than a week, they would come to my club, because my club was right down the street. So I was very well respected in health and wellness. And I've been part of 4 national championships, 3 Super Bowls. I've been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I've been on 60 Minutes. I've been on Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. And my greatest accomplishment in life was the day I became a father, Darren. And that was July 30th, 1998, 28 years ago. And that was when my whole life changed, because I was very well researched. I studied, and God blessed me with twins. And my twins were born with the most rare disease on the planet called phenylketonuria. Well, they'll never eat protein, Darren. They won't eat milk, or they won't drink milk. They won't eat meat, chicken, cheese, fish, birthday cake, ice cream. Nothing that has protein will they ever eat. They do. It goes. So I go in to my pediatrician and I say, "Look, my kids have got this rare disease, and you're wanting to vaccinate them today." Let me go back. My best friends were all medical doctors, and I thought vaccines were the greatest thing ever. I thought they cured polio. So at my health club, I used to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get everybody vaccinated, because I thought that was a good thing. I thought I was doing humanity a service to get all these people vaccinated. So my children are born with this rare disease. I go into the pediatrician. I say, look, doc, my kids have this PKU. You wanted to vaccinate them today. What can you tell me about PKU and vaccines? And the doc says, Mr. Key, I've never had a child with PKU, much less two. I've only read about this. And I don't know anything about PKU and vaccines. But Mr. Key, what I do know is your children are part of a new schedule that they're going to get 72 vaccines, which I call bioweapons, before they're 18 years of age. And I said, why? And Darren, he said, I don't know. That's what came out of his mouth. I don't know. I said, well, look, doc, I'm huge into research. Are there any studies to show me that this new schedule is safe? And he said, Mr. Key, there's at least 1,000. He said, no, there's probably 10,000 studies. I said, great. I said, can I see one? Can I see one? And he said, do what? I said, can I see one study? And he's like, right now? I said, yes, right now, dude. He says, nobody's ever asked me that. Why do you want to see one of these studies? I said, look, dude, these are my precious children. My job as their father is to test and prove all things. Our Lord and Savior Yahweh commands every single one of us to test and prove all things, not the little things, not a few things, but all things. And he said, look, you don't trust me. I said, look, doc, I don't know you, brother. You came recommended from my father. And no, I don't trust you. So he said, well, Mr. Key, I don't have time today to get you one of those 10,000 studies. He said, but my staff or somebody or myself will make sure you get an email before your next visit. I said, well, great, doc. So we leave and we come back. I think it was 9 months later for our next wellness checkup, which is not a wellness checkup. It is a sick checkup to make your child sick. Okay. Anybody that's hearing me, comprehend this. There is no bioweapon that should ever be injected into an animal, much less a precious child. And we'll get to that here in a second. So we go back in 9 months later, Darren, and the nurse has 3 shots out for my son, 3 shots out for my daughter, and she's about to inject them. I was like, ma'am, stop. I said, you or doc was supposed to give me one of those 10,000 studies to show that this new schedule's safe. I said, you better go get him and we got to talk. So Darren, he comes into the room and he will not look at me. He's like, Mr. Key, there are no studies. But Mr. Key, they have to be safe. They've been approved by the CDC, the FDA, the AMA. You don't trust us? I'm like, hell no. I said, doc, you told me there were 10,000 studies. Now you're telling me there ain't one. And I said, brother, I watched you walk around across the way there. I watched you walk into that door across from me. And I watched you close that door. And the next thing I heard was a little child screaming and hollering. So I'm not assuming, I know you just injected that child with one of those 72 concoctions that there's not one single study for. And you took an oath, doc. You took an oath to do no harm. You now know there's not one single study to show this new schedule safe. I said, have you lost your freaking mind? He said, what do you mean? I said, dude, you took an oath. He says, I don't like your tone of voice. I said, I don't care. He said, I think you need to leave. And Darren, I left that day and I went from one of the most respected men in health and wellness to the most hated one because I went down the rabbit hole of bioweapons. And Darren, I realized that every vaccine that I call a bioweapon is deadly. And it can be instantaneous or it can be a soft kill. And your people need to really hear me when I tell you this, okay? Because this isn't a conspiracy. This isn't chit chat. This is the real deal. In 1986, Ronald Reagan passed the Vaccine Injury Act that exempt all vaccine companies from any and all liability. Did you hear what I just said, Darren? 1986, Ronald Reagan passed the Vaccine Injury Act that anybody can Google right now or ask ChatGPT. exempting all vaccine companies of any and all liability. And the reason why this happened was because the vaccine companies had murdered and damaged and mangled so many people that they were on the verge of bankruptcy. And they went to the Congress, they went to the Senate, they went to Ronald Reagan and said, look, we're going out of business unless you exempt us of any and all liability. But we also need you to mandate that everybody takes the product. Darren, can you imagine having a business? You're a businessman. Can you imagine having a business that the government came in and said, look, we don't care who you kill. We don't care who you damage. We're going to exempt you of any and all liability. But more importantly, we're going to mandate that everybody buys the product. Would you like to have that business, Darren?
No way.
I mean, this is so asinine. And you people have been so brainwashed because you have a guy that has a white coat on and has a stethoscope, and he's your new God. No. If you're a Christian, Yahweh is your God. And Yahweh says what? Test and prove all things. Look, I don't want to believe the things that I believe, Darren. I truly to God do not want to believe these things. And I've done it for 28 years. And I asked God, am I crazy? Because for the first 20 plus years, I'm screaming from every hilltop I can. And everybody's looking at me. My best friends are all medical doctors like, Christopher, you've lost your freaking mind. I said, no, I haven't. I said, look, I'm retarded. I'm LD. I'm dyslexic. I'm ADHD. I'm DD and dumber. But if I can figure this crap out, what is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? And it is mass hypnosis. And through the grace of God, I don't know what, but I've been able to see through this because I wanted to make my Heavenly Father proud. And he's continued to bless me because I give him all the glory. And I do what I'm told. And let me go back real quick because through all this, I ended up getting a divorce. And after the divorce, my father-in-law came to me and he said, look, you need to read the Bible and you need to go back to Yahweh and Christ and find out who you are. And I went back and read the Bible, and I'll never forget reading the Bible. Because remember, at 11 years old, Yahweh said that I would do more than Jesus. And I read the Bible, and right there in the Bible, it said that we would all do more than Jesus. And I was like, you know what? I wasn't crazy. I didn't need to be shamed and ridiculed by my mom, my dad, my priest and whatnot, because I know what I heard. And why me? I don't know, because I'm the least of these and I give him all the glory. And he knows I want to make my Heavenly Father proud. And I'm going to die trying. And I've done a lot, but I know God through me is going to do a lot more because our children and more importantly, our grandchildren have no future if we don't stand up to this tyranny right here, right now, because this is the end game. And they have their smart cities already in place. And that they used to want to keep 500 million of you around to operate that. It was written in Georgia at the Georgia Guidestones. They had their new 10 commandments, and people don't know this, but Yahweh told me to go there on July 5th, and I went. And 15 years prior, I went out there, and I slept under the Georgia Guidestones, and I went out there July 5th, and I wanted to stay, but Yahweh said no, and I left. And do you know what happened the next morning? Are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, Darren?
Yes, sir.
You know what happened the next morning?
Lightning.
It wasn't lightning, but July 6th, about 5:30 in the morning, one of the columns came down, and then that day they tore the rest of them down. And why that's important is they don't need 500 million of you anymore. They already have the AI. They already have the clones. And this is what we're going to be going into on my show, The Christopher Key Show on Rumble and Twitter this week. This month, because I got a bunch of other things going on. But anybody that's read the Epstein files, you hopefully comprehend that, yes, they were murdering children. Yes, they were trafficking children. Yes, they were drinking adrenochrome. But the thing very few people are talking about is the cloning. And this is what we're going to be exposing all this month about the Epstein files. And I believe that Epstein is still alive. I believe, and it's my opinion, and just like assholes, we all have one. And you can believe me or not, I don't care. I did come here to make friends. I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm out of bubble gum. And if you get in my way, I'll run you the hell over, okay? Because I know what my mission is. I know what Yahweh's called me to do. And I believe Palm Beach Pete is Epstein, and he got a nose job. And when we identified his teeth, he went in and got his teeth filed off, because these people are completely satanic. They're totally Luciferian, Darren. I believe through the research I've done that these are Satan's seeds, that they have no soul. These came from the angels mating with women. And then if you know about the Nephilim, it's again, if the angels could mate with the humans, why couldn't Satan? Because Satan was an angel. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. And, you don't see this in black and white in your Bible, but the Nephilim is there. And that's another story for another day. But let me go back to the bioweapons, because the vaccines are my passion, because I knew that the best way for them to cause mass eugenics, to we the people, is to have you inject these toxic chemicals into your body. And I need your people again to hear me, because I'm not the bat crazy one. I just did the research. And you are bat crazy if you won't go do the research yourself, because you are the father, the mother, the uncle, the whatever to these children. And when you look in very simply to the 1986 the Act, you see what's going on. But more importantly, go to 2011. Okay, 2011, and the U.S. Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, the U.S. Supreme Court in pharmaceutical company Wyatt versus Bushwick. Okay, that is the most important case that Robert Kennedy Jr. is not talking about. President Trump's not talking about. None of the talking parrots or the prostitutes are talking about this. You're not going to see this on the television, because it lies, tell double lies on Sunday, because the Sabbath is really Saturday. And they continue to lie to you about everything. But do you know, in Wyatt versus Bushwick, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that all vaccines are unavoidably unsafe. Did you hear what I said, Darren? Did you know that? Mm-mm. Most people don't, because the talking parrots and Fox News and CBS and NBC, they won't tell you that the U.S. Supreme Court in 2011 in Wyatt versus Bushwick, go Google it, go chat GPT it, ruled that all vaccines are unavoidably unsafe. Okay. The other thing that you people need to hear me, that Robert Kennedy Jr. and Del Bigtree, I think it was 2018. I may be wrong on that date, but they sued HHS, Health and Human Services. That's the organization that Robert Kennedy Jr. is head of now. He sued HHS because Ronald Reagan back in '86, he said, look, if we're going to exempt all the vaccine companies of any and all liability, we got to hold them accountable. So how are we going to hold them accountable? We're going to make them do safety studies, but not every year, Darren, because every year would be way too many safety studies. Okay. Way too many. So we're going to make them do safety studies every other year. So Robert Kennedy Jr., Del Bigtree sued HHS to release the safety studies that were supposed to have been done every other year for 33 years, because they got to throw the 33 in there because the Masonic numbers and numerics, okay, it's all about the Satanism and their gang signs and whatnot. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Just like Charlie Kirk's killer was found 33 hours later, okay, 33 hours later. I mean, you guys have got to wake up. So anyway, they sued to release the safety studies done the last 33 years, every other year. Do you know how many safety studies they've done, Darren?
I don't know.
You got it right. Zero, nada, not one single safety study, Darren. But you hear on the CNN, Fox, you hear the talking parrots, you hear the prostitutes telling you they're safe and effective, 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 and you people believe they're safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and they're not. It's right there. But you people are so programmed and you're so freaking lazy that you will not do what the Lord commands you to do, and that is test and prove all things. And that pisses me off, Darren. And I get so frustrated with my Christian brothers and sisters who are sitting around trusting these guys because they got a white coat and they got a stethoscope and they're their new God. They only know what they've been taught, and they've been taught drugs, chemicals, and surgery. They have no clue that MRC-5, the little baby boy that they murdered, MRC-5, go Google it right now. MRC-5, the little baby boy that they murdered, they used to grow out your vaccines. WI-38, the little baby girl that they murdered, they used to grow out your vaccines. We can't figure out why, Darren. We got little boys and we have little girls that don't know why they have don't know if they've got a penis or a vagina. I can tell you why. Because they're taking little boy DNA, MRC-5, little girl DNA, WI-38, and they're injecting both of those DNA into your precious child. And you guys allow it to happen. You guys, like the ones of you are woken up, said, okay, let me just spread it out. Let me put a little bit of poison in them, just a little bit of time. Why? What is freaking wrong with you people? Do you really think your body needs a little bit extra mercury, formaldehyde, aborted fetuses? It really needs that? I mean, what is wrong with you people? Why are you in so mashed hypnosis? And right now we got President Trump. He signed an executive order. Oh boy, him and Robert Kennedy Jr., they got a new executive order that they're going to drop the poisons down from 72 to 11. Isn't that great? Why the hell do they need 11 for? Why? They don't. And you people need to wake the hell up. Hepatitis A and hepatitis B, they give that shot within 24 hours of being born. 24 hours. Do you know how you get hepatitis B and A? Do you know how you get it, Darren? Let me educate you real quick, okay? You have to have sex and or share needles. Darren, do you really think our children, before they're 24 hours old, do you really think, Darren, they're going back to the neonatal and they're back there having an orgy? You really think they're back there having an orgy? Do you really think they're back there and they're shooting up intravenous drugs and needles? Do you really think that? So seriously, please, God, if you have any brains in your head, surely to God, your child's not going to have sex or share needles till they're at least 8, okay? Wait till they're 8, okay? I mean, this is so asinine, and I get so frustrated with it, brother, and I apologize, and I'm not going to apologize. I'm not sorry, because this pisses me off, because our children, your children, are our future, and you're injecting these toxic chemicals. Most of you don't even know this happens. This is how uninformed you are, because you trust these people, and they know what makes us tick from Sigmund Freud, and they know how trusting and how loving we are. You know, because we're good people and we want to believe the good in everybody. But these are not people. These are of Satan's seed. These are pure evil that have no soul. How do you think they can have sex with a freaking 2-year-old? How do you think they can cut the arms and the legs and hang these children up like Christmas tree ornaments and rape them until they die? This is real. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear this, because you're Christian and you're going to put your head in the freaking sand and think they're not coming for you. But they're coming for all of us. And it's my job to wake you up, to help you see the light, to show you what is happening. And it's so frustrating for me, because all you guys are on the Trump bandwagon. You think Trump's going to be your savior and he's going to come riding in on the white horse. You do not, I believe, and it's my personal opinion, you do not get into DC unless you sell your soul to Satan. That's my personal opinion. And like I said, you know, it's just like buttholes. We all have one. But if you're able to see between the lines, and I know y'all think he's playing chess, he's playing really good chess. Well, maybe he is. And I pray to God I'm wrong. I really do. I pray to God every single day. I pray for President Trump. I pray for Robert Kennedy Jr. I pray for all the House of Representatives, all the senators. I pray that they will get down on their knees and ask for forgiveness. I pray to Yahweh for them to truly repent, because I know he will forgive them. You know, no matter how bad the things are. I've talked to some people like Christopher. Yahweh, these people raping and murdering these children, Yahweh can never forgive them for that. I think he could, if they truly repented, because what I've seen with this, if they have souls, if they don't have souls, they're crap out of luck. But if they have souls, what through my research, what I've seen is these people have been programmed. They have been beaten. They have been raped. They have been molested. They have been all these things done to them also. And they really think this is part of being normal. So this is why they rape and molest their own children. I mean, it is so diabolical evil. And everybody's like, Christopher, why do you want to know all these things? Because I want to know how to defend myself and my family. You know, as a coach and as an athlete, I want to know every single thing I can know about my opponent so I can better prepare myself, so I can better prepare my family. It sucks to know all these things. And like I said, brother, I wish you guys could prove me that I'm wrong, because I love it when I'm wrong, Darren, because when I'm wrong, I've learned something. And I came here to learn also. I came here to get better. I came here to teach. I came here to lead. I came here to do whatever Yahweh called me to do. And God through me has done it very well. I've had some huge trials and tribulations. I mean, the government 11 years ago fined me hundreds of millions of dollars, that they seized everything I own, shut me down. And I have a court order in my great state of Alabama that I can't have anything to do with health, wellness, and pain management. Why? Because we were helping people without drugs, without chemicals, without surgery. And God through us did it very well. So much so that Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, sent letters to all my athletes, over 1,000 athletes, saying that if they didn't disassociate from us, they would be suspended from the league. And then went to Major League Baseball, and then went to the PGA, then went to the NCAA. Because they don't want you to be well. They want you on Rockefeller medicine, which Rockefeller medicine, they took God's perfect herbs that they couldn't patent, because you can't patent what's of God. But they took God's perfect herbs. They put petroleum. Yeah, your pharmakia, which is sorcery, is taking God's perfect herbs, and they add petroleum to it. And all it does is put a Band-Aid on a problem to cause another problem, to cause another problem. And then you go to the doctor, and then you have surgery, and then you have rehab, and then you become an addict. It's a beautiful little treadmill or hamster wheel that goes around that keeps you locked in the system. And you guys have no clue. And I'm trying to educate the best I can, because I know that this temple that God created perfectly will heal itself from any and all things. Cancer, COVID, measles, mumps. I believe, Darren, there is no disease. That's my personal opinion. There is no disease. All there is lack of cell-to-cell communication. When the cells quit communicating with each other, they stop, they disconnect, and that disconnection causes inflammation. Inflammation. That inflammation, Big Pharma has given that many names, like cancer, COVID, measles, mumps. And all you have to do, Darren, is make the cells communicate again. And it's such a beautiful thing, because God spoke and we were. Everything is frequency. And if you guys have never read the book, The Body is Electric. I read that book 28 plus years ago. And my background was in exercise physiology, kinesiology, like I said. And when I read that book, I'm like, holy cow, the body is electric. And when you really understand that, you comprehend that you don't have a headache because you have lack of aspirin. You don't have cancer because you have lack of chemotherapy. There's lack of cell-to-cell communication. And that's why I developed this technology right here. And this is so beautiful. And when I took this technology to my professors, Dr. Joe Smith and Dr. Bishop at the University of Alabama, because they always taught me, Darren, that if you didn't understand something, you bring it back to the lab and you do what's called a randomized double-blind placebo study. And they did the first randomized double-blind placebo study, and they came back and said, Christopher, it's a sticker. They said, how in the world is this sticker? When we've got somebody that's got shoulder pain or knee pain or back pain, we do thermal imaging photography on there, and we see this big red heat spot, and we put 3 of your chips on there. We wait 90 seconds. We take a second photo, and that red heat spot is completely green with maybe a little bit of yellow. They said, it's a sticker, Christopher. I said, no, doc, it's a hologram. And holograms are storage centers for information. A lot of your cell phones, a lot of your laptops, they have holograms in there to allow them to store more mega memory, okay? And what I've been able to do is with that hologram and my knowledge of the human body and exercise physiology, kinesiology, I've been able to take this hologram and fashion the speed of light, send frequencies of God, for God, and with God embedded into the hologram using Tesla technology, Rife technology, and scalar waves. And then you take this little chip, and if you have pain, you put one where the pain is, you take two others, put above or below, depending on if the pain is going up or down. Instantaneously, the pain is greatly reduced, if not gone. And these little chips is what got me into every NFL locker room in the country, Major League Baseball, the PGA, because these things work. And it was so priceless for me to go and get a suite at whatever hotel, and I'd wait in the lobby for a Ray Lewis or a Brett Favre or a Fuzzy Zeller, Andy Bean to walk in and see that they got pain. And I would take this little chip and put three of them on their shoulder pain, knee pain, back pain, and they would look at me like, "What? Are you a witch doctor? What did you just do?" I said, "No, brother, this is of God, for God, and with God. You take me to your brothers, and you'll go on to win the Super Bowl." And that happened 3 years in a row. Happened 4 years in a row in the NCAA, really 5. But the 5th year we'd been shut down. So I don't claim that one. I don't claim any of them because I didn't do anything. I misspoke on that. All I did was give these athletes the knowledge, and then they chose to utilize it. And then their body went out and competed at the highest level. Because in football, and I love to explain this to people in football, because, competition, if you know anything about the NFL, that they're playing in, maybe let's say they're playing at the Astrodome, or the New Orleans Dome, where it's an enclosed stadium, and most of those people have cell phones in there, right? And can you imagine how many frequencies are going through that stadium? They're all over the place, okay? And they affect you very, very negatively. But what if we had technology that would allow your body to deal with those frequencies better, but more importantly, would give you more strength, more endurance, more balance, more flexibility? What do you think would happen, Darren, if your team had that technology? Do you think they would be better inclined to win? Yes or no? If both teams were even, and this other team had more energy, more balance, more flexibility, less pain, which team do you think would win, Darren?
Well, obviously, it's an obvious answer. The one with more energy, and yes.
Well, this is why when you read the Sports Illustrated story that they vetted every single thing, because they're like, there's no way this is real, but it is. And anybody out there that's listening to this podcast, I love to give. I'm a giver. I love to give. And you guys are being radiated with all these frequencies that you can't see right now. But as we're having this conversation, they're blowing through our body. And you guys all want one of these right here to put on your cell phone, your laptop, any electronic device. And guess how much they cost, Darren? Guess how expensive they are. There's a lot of people that sell these for $100 a piece. This is $600. Guess how much I sell them for?
How much?
Zero. Nada. Not one single penny. I really like to piss off the satanic Luciferians, so I love to give these away for free. So anybody out there that's listening to the show, Darren, if you go to my website, christiskey.life, and just click free pain chips, or you can, if you're old school like me, because I can't stand technology, if you just text me at 561-329-8434, I'll ship you the energy chips for free and the pain chips for free. I just need you to give me your name, address, and email to 561-329-8434, and I'll ship them anywhere in the world except my great state of Alabama. I have a court order. I cannot ship them to Alabama. So if you live in Alabama, if you got a friend in Georgia, I can ship them to them in Georgia. And then if they ship them to you in Alabama, I don't have nothing to do with that. So this is so important, guys, because they're about to really crank up the 5G. It's so imperative that you put one of these on your back of your cell phone. Now, listen to me. It's not, if anybody's telling you they got technology that's going to block the cell phone frequency, unless it's a Faraday cage, they're telling you a lie. If this technology on your cell phone blocked the frequencies, you wouldn't get the cell phone call. Okay. What this allows your body to do is deal with the bad frequencies better. And I'm going to send you a video that everybody can watch where I was working with the UAB football team. The government seized all the when they came in 11 years ago, that they seized all our clinical studies. They seized all my cell phones, my laptops, where we had all the evidence, where I had all the video footage of all these ball players that were utilizing this technology to prove that all of it was real. But I do have one video left that was on another separate cell phone instead of the UAB football team. So I'm going to send it to you, put in the comments, and you guys need to watch that video so you guys can better understand or comprehend. I never understand. I misspoke there. And one of the things I'm trying to do is educate you people, because God spoke and we were. And your verbiage is spells, okay? And when you understand somebody, that means you stand under them. I only stand under Yahweh, my Lord and Savior. When the judge comes in and says, "Do you understand?" When the police officer says, "Do you understand?" You go into their jurisdiction, okay? I am sovereign. I am sovereign to the one and only Yahweh. And you should be too. And as long as you don't harm the hair of another man or woman's head, all these statutes and codes, they don't apply to you. Okay. And that's another story for another day. But guys, please, I believe there is no disease. I believe one of the simplest ways to get you to start feeling better, to decalcify your pineal gland, to get in touch with Yahweh, are these little chips right here. I'm not a medical doctor. I would never practice medicine without a license. And let me go to that real quick. Darren, this is one that really bothers me. And I want you people to really hear me, okay? How many of you, if you had your toilet blow up or had a terrible leak in the house, how many of you would try to go find a plumber that was practicing to be a plumber? If he was practicing how to do plumbing, would you go see that plumber? Would you go try to find one that was practicing, Darren? You wouldn't, would you?
No.
You know, you would want to find somebody that knew how to do it. Now, if your engine blew up on your car, if your transmission blew up, would you try to find a mechanic that was practicing how to fix those things? You wouldn't do that, would you, Darren? You wouldn't. So please tell me, everybody that's listening right now, why do you put so much faith in these men and women that openly tell you that they're practicing medicine? Did you hear what I just said? They openly tell you they're practicing it, and they're practicing it on you. And you're like, "Yes, my master. Yes, my master. Give me a double dose. Give me 6 vaccines because they're safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. Give me 6 of them. Give me 6 of them. Yes, master." I mean, you people have to wake up and start hearing me, seeing Yahweh, comprehending what is happening. They don't like you, and they sure as hell don't like me, okay? Because I will never bow the knee to any of them. I fear no man, I fear not Satan. And I promise you that the only thing they can do is take me out, because I will never bow the knee. And I don't fear death. And I tell people this, they're like, "Christopher, because my mentor and my best friend were partners, that they killed him, I believe, 16 years ago on our first ever cancer cruise. Lynn Kinney ended up dead. And I was supposed to be on that cruise. And I tell people, look, I'm not afraid, because I've been saved, so I can't go to hell. And Yahweh, he don't want me in heaven. He said, hell no. You're staying down there. Because I got so many questions for Yahweh. He's like, no, you're not coming up here. So you guys are stuck with me. So get over it. I'm here to do his work. Give him all the glory. And I love this time. I used to tell people I so wanted to walk when Jesus did, but no. This time right here, with the trials and tribulations we're going through is the time that we were all meant to be here. We all chose to come here now, and we just got to come together. We got to quit being divided, like I said earlier, because you're Jewish, I'm Catholic, you're black, I'm white. We all bleed red, and you guys are being poisoned with the water, with the food, with the air, with the supplements, with the frequencies. They're poisoning everything, okay? And this is why it's so important for you to know your farmer. It's so important for you to trust the person that you're getting the supplements from. We have a manufacturing facility in Ventura, California, where everything is done right there in-house. And then the IGF-1 is manufactured out of Chicago. But let me go to this real quick, because I told you have to make the cells communicate, and that's where the pain and energy chips come into place. And then you've got to get rid of the toxins. And a lot of you may have never heard of Masterpiece. That's the true sign of the piece. They've got it inverted. They invert everything, okay? It's just like MAGA. You guys think MAGA is a great movement. That's the 5th degree. The highest level of Satanism is MAGA. And you guys are running around with freaking MAGA hats on. And you're thinking, wake up. You guys have got to wake up. But let me go back to Masterpiece. This is a miracle. Dr. Robert Young, please pray for him. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the most well-written, well-publicized person in the country, and he's in prison right now. He's supposed to get out this week, and I pray to God that he's released, because he and Matthew developed this product right here, where they've got the peer-reviewed published papers proving the nanobots, the nanodots, the mercury, the aluminum, the snake venom. Yeah, there's snake venom in your food, in your water. It's everywhere. The nano dust. If you don't know about the nanobots, the nano dust, go Google, go pull up ChatGPT. You can still utilize that technology to get you some really good information, whether you took the vaccine or not. It's everywhere. And they have peer-reviewed published papers proven if you do this for 90 days, an 80% reduction. 80% reduction. This is unheard of. And this is how you take back your temple, because you got to get those toxins out. And if anybody wants to get this, they can go to crisiskey.live. At the very top, it says Masterpiece. You click Masterpiece, sign up as an affiliate. We need people, because we can't advertise this on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook. So we need you to sign up as an affiliate. It doesn't cost you anything. Okay. I try to make things very cheap, very inexpensive. You know, the chips I gave away were free. Now, Masterpiece, if you sign up as an affiliate, it doesn't cost you anything. And if you share your links with your families and friends, we pay you 25% commission. Nobody does this, because we know how important it is to get these toxic chemicals out of your body. And then the icing on the cake, IGF-1. Oh, my goodness, my bad. IGF-1. Have you ever heard of human growth hormone, Darren?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, human growth hormone, if you talk to any anti-aging doctor in the world, they will tell you, if you want to stay young, if you want to slow down the aging process, you want to do synthetic HGH, human growth hormone. Okay, but what they don't tell you, you have to inject your subcutaneous fat. It costs $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Very expensive. I can't afford it. But when you inject your subcutaneous fat, your liver transfers it to what's called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor. And if you ask Dr. Judy Mikovits, if you ask Dr. Lee Merritt, they will tell you, you don't want HGH, you don't want pharmakia, you don't want the freaking sorcery. You want natural IGF-1 derived from deer antler velvet. And we have this right here. And this product's been banned by the NFL, the PGA, Major League Baseball, the NCAA. Why? Because it works. And Dr. Latini has deer farms in New Zealand. His deer, their antlers are literally the fastest growing substance on planet Earth. Those antlers right there, they grow over an inch. 1 full inch a day. So if you go there to New Zealand, if you stay there 24 hours, you can physically see the antler grow a full inch. And the reason why it grows so fast, Darren, is the high concentration of IGF-1 that's on the tip of the antlers. They've been able to extract it out without harming the deer at all. The deer live like royalty. They're not harmed in any form of the fashion. They're able to extract it out. They put into a lipo delivery system that they patented 30 plus years ago that gives the body 98% absorption. Everybody laughed, made fun of, said there's no way that's happening. But the patents ran out now, and most every supplement company that has half a brain is using Dr. Latini's lipo delivery system. But more importantly, if you do the 300,000, this is the 300,000 right here. This is the 1 million. This is the one that I, Stu Peters, take. We just came out on the market with this less than a month ago. But this is the 300,000 one. This increases your IGF-1 levels by 60%. So if you want to stay young, if you want to slow down the aging process, if you want to take at least 2 years off the aging, clinical studies to prove that IGF-1 does that. And what we're doing right now is, I talked to Rick and I said, look, dude, I need some men to be men again. Our men have no gonads anymore. Just the Secretary of War came out last week and told the world that our men's testosterone is lower than it's ever been in the history of the world, ever. And what the Army is in the process of doing right now is, anybody that wants it, they're going to put those cadets on synthetic testosterone. That is called steroids. They're going to have them inject and or put pellets. Okay. I believe anabolic steroids, if done correctly, are phenomenal. I did anabolic steroids back in my teens and whatnot, because I researched them. I tested and proved all things. And I realized everybody that told me everything about anabolics was completely, totally wrong. But I have found a safe alternative that's of God, for God, and with God, where we've taken God's perfect herbs and put in a delivery system that will give your testosterone levels increase of over 40%. It's called Men's Edge. And right now, this product right here has natural tribulus, long talk Ali, long jack, and fenugreek, all that have been proven to increase your test levels by over 40%. And I need men to be men again. Okay. So right now, if anybody goes to getigf1.com and if you buy the Men's Edge, what we're going to do is give you a free bottle of the 300,000 and a free bottle. I don't have it over here. Sleep Miracle. So many of you people can't sleep anymore because of all the disruption from the 5G, all the toxic chemicals and whatnot. And Dr. Latini, being a veteran and having PTSD, he couldn't sleep. So he developed a sleep product for him. And we're going to give you a free bottle of that. All you have to do is go to getigf1.com. And if you enter coupon code Brett, okay, we're going to put the coupon code Brett in there. If you enter BRETT at checkout, we're going to give you a free bottle of the 300,000 and a free bottle of the Sleep Miracle. A lot of people think this is just a product for men. No, you women, if you want to stay beautiful, if you want to balance out your hormones, if you want to have great hair, great skin, great nails, you want IGF-1 derived from deer antler velvet. And we created a product just for women because so many women, when we brought this back to market, they were calling me up because they're like, Christopher, you have changed my husband's life. I mean, every morning now, he's waking up and his thingy's hard and he's wanting to have sex and he has energy all throughout the day. I mean, his hair's getting thicker. He's like, can I not take this? I'm like, yes, IGF-1 is for everybody. It is the building block for life. They're killing the chickens. If you heard anything about them killing the chickens, they're killing the chickens because the chickens lay eggs and the eggs have what's called IGF-1. And they don't want you to have that because that is the building block for life. So you women, if you go, we for marketing purpose, we put together a women's only product that's less than $60. And it has a little bit more iron, a little bit more vitamin B12 and whatnot. It's essential B vitamins that most women are missing. So if you go to getigf1.com and you buy the women's only product, we're also going to give you a free bottle of the 300,000 and a free bottle of Sleep Miracle. This is what I've been preaching for 28 years because of my children, giving people the alternative therapies that work. And we have the best water devices in the world, the best air devices in the world, the best supplements in the world, the best frequency devices in the world. I figured out what they were doing to kill us. And then I've spent 28 years finding the best things to counter those. And this is why they've done everything they can to silence me. And I will not go away. We're the ones that put millions of dollars worth of billboards across the country saying vaccines kill, because every vaccine that has ever been created is a bioweapon. And when President Trump and Robert Kennedy Jr. within the year come to you because of the new pandemic, because the new pandemic's coming, and when they come to you and tell you, look, you got to trust us because we love you. And in Biden's administration, they were the bad guys. They were the bad guys. And there's this new epidemic, this new pandemic, and we've created a new vaccine that's safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. And you got to trust us, and you got to take it, because if you don't take it, you're going to kill grandma, you're going to kill your grandson. I'm here to tell you, do not, I repeat, do not trust them. There never will be a safe vaccine. The only safe vaccine is the one not taken. Go do the research. Why do you think you're deficient in aborted fetuses? Why do you think you're deficient in formaldehyde? Why do you think you're deficient in monkey parts? Why do you think you're deficient in mercury and aluminum? Why? Do you really think that God intended for you to put those toxic chemicals into your temple? Why? And you guys, while you're beginning to come out of that hypnosis, you're finally like, hopefully you're saying, why do I need aborted fetuses in my precious child or myself? Because you don't. But you've been programmed to believe that it's safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective, safe and effective. Because if I say it enough time and I say it fast enough and I put a white coat and a stethoscope on me, it's got to be real, because you're supposed to obey authority. Romans 13. No, only if that authority is of God. These people are not of God, I believe. I believe they are Satan's seed. That is my belief. And if you guys can prove me wrong, let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Because I don't want to believe these things, Darren. I don't want to believe that we're being poisoned with the water, the food, the air, the supplements, the frequencies. But I've studied this for 28 years. And I know how I feel. And I know how I feel when I eat crappy food. I know how I feel when I drink bottled water. I feel like shit. And I don't like to feel like that. because it sucks. And I can't imagine you people that do this every single day. But I got to tell this story because this makes sense, because God made this body so resilient, I never forget 15, 18 years ago, we were at the beach and my daughter's taking a shower. And granted, remember, my daughter, she's never had a vaccine. She's never drank fluoridated water. She's never had any of these toxic chemicals. And all of a sudden, she's in the bathroom, in the shower, and she starts screaming and hollering. Daddy, daddy, daddy. Like, so I go run in there, and I'm like, what's the matter? And my daughter's tongue is coming out of her mouth. She's got hives all over her face. There's hives all over her body. And I was like, what'd you do? What'd you do? She said, Daddy, I was just taking a shower. I said, baby, you had to do something. What'd you do? She said, well, Grandma gave me some toothpaste. And I go grab the toothpaste and I look at it and it's fluoridated toothpaste. Okay. My daughter has never had that into her temple. So that poison reacted like that to her. You people out there, you put toxic poisons in your body every single day. The body's resilient. The body's able to accumulate and to deal with it, but it's still killing you. It's killing you slowly. It's called a soft kill. And you guys have got to comprehend and realize that these entities do not like us. It's written in their own white papers. They say you and I are a useless eater and a useless feeder. And we have to do what we have to do. And it starts with you taking back your temple. And in closing, brother, I want to tell everybody out there that you have all the power. Okay. You may not want to be boots on the ground like me. You may not want to go to jail like I've been a couple times. You may not want to have everything taken from you like I've had 3 times. It sucks. But you have so much power. And from behind that little screen right now, I'm going to ask you to utilize that power. Because the information, hopefully you've learned today from me and Darren, if you can spread this information to just one person, just one, all it takes is one, because 1 turns to 2, 2 turns to 4, and before you know it, 7 billion people around the world. It ain't round, it's flat. It's flat, it's set on pillars, it's unmovable. Wake up and realize you've been lied to. I know you don't want to believe it, but I've studied it because I was like, there's no way in the heck the world is round. I mean, the world is flat. And once you go flat, you can't go back. And if you read your Bible, it right there, set on pillars, unmovable. Go look at it. So many people have come to Christ that were atheists because they finally realized how significant we are, that we're not this planet that's revolving through the earth at 666,000 miles an hour. Really? 666? You see how satanic this stuff is? Right there in your face. So right now, you have so much power. They want you to think you're insignificant. They want to think that you can't do anything. But if you share this information with one person, 1 turns to 2. If you comment right now, the stuff that I go on is completely censored. It is so downregulated. But you guys have the power to get it out there, because if you like this right now, it's going to give us a little boost. And then if you comment on it, it goes, woo, woo, woo. And then if you retweet it, it goes, woo. And they can't get this, they can't stop it. So you have all the power, because then they want to make money and they realize people are commenting, liking on it. So then they want to put advertisements in it, and we beat them at their own game. But I need your help right now, please. I'm begging you, okay? I am begging you to like this episode, to comment. Just tell me what state you're from. And then retweet this to your families and friends, because guys, everybody now, not everybody, but a lot of people are finally realizing there's something going on with the vaccines, but they're trying to bump it from 72 to 11. And that is a start. That is a start. But guys, this is all a show. And I just got back from Washington, D.C. And in closing, I want you guys to hear me again, because I was there with 7 other people. One lady got there at 2:30 in the morning, and I got there at 5:30, and not one of us were allowed to go into this public hearing. All they let in was the prostitutes, the talking parrot, and the staff. This was all a show. Rand Paul came right beside me, and I told him what had happened. He just waved at me and kept on going. This is all to make you think that something's getting done, and they're sitting there laughing at us. They're sitting there raping each other's children, molesting each other's wives, because they're not of God. They're pure evil. And then they tried to tell me, the one girl that had been there since 2:30, she had sit down in the hallway, and the sergeant in arms came up and said, "You can't sit down." And I said, "Look, she's tired. Yes, she can." She said, "This is my building. She can't sit down." I said, "No, ma'am. This is our building. This is my building." And then the officer said, "No, it's not, sir." I said, "Look, dude, you need to hush." And I didn't want to go to jail, so they wanted us to go up the hallway, and then I came back down because I wanted to get video footage of Fauci leaving, and then they tried to tell me I couldn't cross the yellow line, and then the sergeant came out again, and I couldn't even get him to go on the record because I said, "Look, your police officers told me that this was a sergeant in arms building." I said, "Sir, this is my building. This is your building. You took an oath. Can you not tell the world whose building this is?" He said, "Sir, I don't want to get political. That's not political. This is our building, and you people will not stand up because you've been so programmed to bow down to authority. You've been so programmed to give in, and you've been so programmed that you don't even know what's going on. And it's time you wake up, and it starts with taking back your temple. It starts with sharing this information. So if you guys have any questions for me, my direct cell is 561-329-8434. God told me to take every phone call, return every text. I honor my Father in heaven. He didn't say anything about an email, so do not send me a freaking email because I can't even open one up. So if you have questions, call me. If you don't get your chips within 7 days, that they've seized over 100,000 of my packages. So I can't afford to send them out certified because it costs $10. So I just put them on a regular stamp. So if you don't get them within 7 days, call or text me. I will send them out as many times as I have to until you receive them. You are the resistance. This is an info war, and I need you guys to get this info out there to any and every eye that's willing to see and all the ears that can hear. Love you guys. God bless. Christiskey.life. GetIGF1.com.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate you for getting on the ark. Thanks for the information. Thanks for watching Get on the Ark. And like Christopher said, God wants us to share Him where we work, where we play, where we live. So share this message with anyone, and send it off to them, and let God do His thing. And thank you again for watching. Thanks for getting on the ark. And until next time, God bless you.